Welcome to Wisdom Audiobooks. Have you ever felt exhausted from constantly trying to please others, only to lose sight of your own worth? Imagine living a life where you no longer seek validation from the outside world but instead embrace your true self with confidence and joy. This audiobook will guide you on that transformative journey, helping you reclaim your freedom and live authentically. Introduction. The audiobook Live for Yourself. Stop Seeking Validation from Others is written and published by Wisdom Audiobooks. In today's fast-paced world, we often find ourselves trapped in a cycle of seeking approval, whether it's from family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers on social media. Many of us feel pressured to meet unrealistic standards, leading to feelings of inadequacy, stress, and unhappiness. We've all been there, questioning our worth because someone else didn't approve of our choices. I understand how overwhelming this can be. It's hard to break free from the need for external validation, especially when society constantly tells us that our value depends on others' opinions. But let me assure you, you are not alone in this struggle. This audiobook was created specifically for you, to help you navigate these challenges and rediscover the incredible person you truly are. Through this audiobook, you'll learn how to identify your core values and live by them. Strategies to overcome the fear of judgment and rejection. Techniques to set healthy boundaries and prioritize your well-being. Ways to focus on your personal growth without comparing yourself to others. By listening to the entire audiobook, you'll gain practical tools and insights to transform your mindset and take control of your life. These lessons aren't just theories. They're actionable steps designed to empower you to live confidently and authentically. As renowned author Brené Brown once said, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." Let this audiobook be your guide to embracing your true self. Your wisdom journey starts here. Chapter 1. Understanding the Need for External Validation. Have you ever wondered why we feel the need to seek approval from others? Why do we constantly look for validation in likes, comments, or compliments? In this chapter, we'll explore the roots of this behavior and how it impacts our lives. By understanding where this need comes from, you'll be better equipped to break free from its grip and start living authentically. 1. The origins of the need for external validation. Let's begin by examining why humans have an innate desire for external validation. This need is deeply rooted in our evolutionary biology and social conditioning. 1.1. Evolutionary perspective. From an evolutionary standpoint, early humans relied on group cohesion for survival. Being accepted by the tribe meant access to food, shelter, and protection. Those who were rejected faced isolation, and often death. Over thousands of years, this survival mechanism became hardwired into our brains. As psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck explains, our need for belonging is as fundamental as our need for food and water. Fast forward to today, while physical survival may no longer depend on tribal acceptance, our emotional well-being still does. We crave connection, love, and approval because these things make us feel safe and valued. However, modern society has amplified this need in unhealthy ways, especially through social media. 1.2. The role of social media. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook have created a culture of comparison. Every scroll exposes us to curated versions of other people's lives, their perfect vacations, flawless selfies, and enviable achievements. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if only I looked like them, had their job, or lived their lifestyle, then I'd finally be happy. But here's the truth, what you see online isn't reality, it's a highlight reel. Author and entrepreneur Gary Vaynerchuk puts it perfectly. Social media is not real life. Stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. When we base our self-worth on these illusions, we set ourselves up for disappointment and dissatisfaction. 1.3. Family and cultural conditioning. Beyond biology and technology, much of our need for validation stems from childhood experiences. Think back to your early years. Were you praised only when you achieved something? Or perhaps criticized when you made mistakes? These patterns shape how we view ourselves as adults. For instance, if your parents emphasize grades over effort, You might grow up believing that your worth depends on external success. Similarly, cultural norms often reinforce the idea that happiness comes from meeting societal expectations, getting married by a certain age, having a high-paying job, or owning material possessions. Understanding these origins helps us recognize that seeking validation isn't inherently bad, it's human. But when it becomes excessive or unbalanced, it can harm our mental health and prevent us from living authentically. 2. The consequences of seeking external validation. Now that we know where this need comes from, let's talk about its impact on our lives. Spoiler alert, it's not pretty. 2.1. Loss of self-confidence. When we rely on others' opinions to feel good about ourselves, we lose touch with our inner voice. Instead of trusting our instincts, we second-guess every decision. For example, imagine wanting to switch careers but hesitating because your family thinks you're crazy for leaving a stable job. This lack of confidence keeps us stuck in situations that don't align with our true desires. 2.2. Living someone else's life. Seeking validation often leads to living a life that pleases others rather than fulfilling ourselves. You might stay in a toxic relationship because you fear being judged as single. Or you might pursue a career path chosen by your parents instead of following your passion. In the words of Steve Jobs, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." This disconnection between who we are and how we live creates deep dissatisfaction. No matter how successful you appear outwardly, if you're not aligned with your values, you'll never feel truly fulfilled. 2.3. Chronic stress and anxiety. Constantly worrying about what others think takes a toll on your mental health. Studies show that people who prioritize external validation experience higher levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. They're also more likely to engage in people-pleasing behaviors, which can lead to burnout. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to something you didn't want to do just to avoid conflict? How often have you silenced your own needs to keep the peace? Over time, this pattern erodes your sense of self and leaves you feeling drained. 3. Recognizing the signs of dependence on external validation. The first step toward change is awareness. Here are some common signs that you might be overly reliant on external validation. 3.1. Constant worry about others' opinions. Do you find yourself obsessing over what others think of you? Whether it's replaying conversations in your head or overanalyzing social interactions, this habit indicates a dependence on external approval. 3.2. Fear of rejection or criticism. Are you afraid to express your true thoughts or feelings because you worry about being judged? Do you avoid taking risks because failure feels unbearable? These fears stem from a need for validation and can hold you back from growth. 3.3. Seeking reassurance. Do you frequently ask others for their opinion before making decisions? While it's normal to seek advice occasionally, relying on others to validate every choice suggests a lack of self-trust. 3.4. Feeling empty despite achievements. Have you ever reached a goal only to feel unfulfilled? This emptiness often arises when your accomplishments are driven by external expectations rather than internal satisfaction. Recognizing these signs is crucial because it allows you to take action. Awareness is the first step toward breaking free from the cycle of seeking validation. A true story, from people-pleasing to authentic living. To bring these concepts to life, let me share a story about Sarah, a young woman who struggled with seeking validation. Sarah was a marketing executive known for her perfectionism. She worked tirelessly to impress her boss, stayed late at the office to complete projects, and always volunteered for extra tasks. On the surface, she seemed successful, but inside, she felt exhausted and unfulfilled. One day, after receiving yet another lukewarm performance review, Sarah realized something profound. No amount of effort would ever be enough to earn her boss's approval. Her relentless pursuit of validation had left her disconnected from her passions and dreams. Determined to change, Sarah began exploring her interests outside of work. She joined a local art class, started journaling, and practiced mindfulness meditation. Slowly but surely, she rediscovered her authentic self. Today, Sarah runs her own creative agency, where she helps small businesses tell their stories. She credits her transformation to one simple realization: I stopped trying to prove my worth to others and started proving it to myself. Sarah's journey reminds us that breaking free from external validation isn't easy, but it's worth it. Conclusion of Chapter 1. In this chapter, we've explored the origins of our need for external validation, its consequences, and the signs of dependence. Remember, seeking approval isn't inherently wrong, it's part of being human. However, when it controls our lives, it prevents us from living authentically. As we move forward, keep this insight in mind. You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anyone. Maya Angelou. Use this wisdom to guide you as we delve deeper into discovering your true self in the next chapter. Chapter 2. Discovering your true self. Now that we've explored the roots of external validation and its impact on our lives, it's time to shift our focus inward. In this chapter, we'll dive deep into discovering your true self, the person you are beneath societal expectations, fears, and insecurities. By understanding your core values, listening to your inner voice, and embracing who you truly are, you'll lay the foundation for a life of authenticity and fulfillment. 1. Identifying your core values. To live authentically, you must first understand what truly matters to you. These guiding principles, your core values, are the compass that directs your decisions, actions, and relationships. Let's explore how to identify them. 1.1. What are core values? Core values are the beliefs and ideals that define who you are at your essence. They represent what you stand for, what motivates you, and what brings meaning to your life. For example, some common core values include honesty, creativity, freedom, connection, growth, or kindness. As leadership expert Simon Sinek famously said, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." The same principle applies to your personal life. When you align your actions with your why, you feel more fulfilled and confident. 1.2. How to identify your core values. Start by asking yourself these reflective questions. What activities make me feel most alive and energized? When have I felt the proudest of myself, and why? What qualities do I admire in others, and why? Write down your answers and look for recurring themes. For instance, if you notice patterns like helping others, expressing creativity, or seeking adventure, these could point to your core values. Let me share an example. Imagine someone who loves volunteering at animal shelters, enjoys painting in their free time, and feels happiest during solo hikes in nature. Their core values might include compassion, creativity, and independence. 1.3. Living according to your values. Once you've identified your core values, use them as a filter for decision-making. Ask yourself, does this choice align with my values? If the answer is no, it's probably not worth pursuing. For example, if one of your core values is balance but you're constantly overworking to meet unrealistic deadlines, it's time to reassess your priorities. Aligning your life with your values creates harmony and reduces the need for external validation. 2. Listening to your inner voice. Your inner voice is the quiet whisper of your intuition, the part of you that knows what's best, even when the world tells you otherwise. Learning to listen to it is key to living authentically. 2.1. Distinguishing between inner voice and external noise. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to confuse your inner voice with external influences. Social media, advertisements, peer pressure, all of these can drown out your authentic desires. Here's a simple way to differentiate. Your inner voice speaks softly but firmly, while external noise often shouts loudly and creates confusion. For example, if you feel drawn to take a break from work to recharge but hear messages telling you to push harder, trust the gentle pull toward rest. 2.2. Practices to strengthen your inner voice. There are several techniques to help you tune into your inner voice. Mindfulness meditation. Spend 5 to 10 minutes daily sitting quietly and observing your thoughts without judgment. Over time, this practice helps you connect with your deeper self. Journaling. Write freely about your thoughts, feelings, and dreams. Don't censor yourself. Let the words flow naturally. Journaling uncovers hidden truths and clarifies your desires. Nature walks. Spending time outdoors allows you to disconnect from technology and reconnect with your inner wisdom. As John Muir once said, The clearest way into the universe is through a forest wilderness. 2.3. Trusting your intuition. Trusting your intuition requires courage, especially when it contradicts societal norms. Author Elizabeth Gilbert reminds us, "You have within you right now everything you need to deal with whatever the world throws at you. Believe in your ability to navigate life using your inner guidance system. It will never steer you wrong." 3. Accepting yourself unconditionally. One of the greatest barriers to living authentically is self-rejection. We often criticize ourselves for not being smart enough, attractive enough, or successful enough. But true transformation begins with unconditional self-acceptance. 3.1. Understanding self-acceptance. Self-acceptance means embracing all aspects of yourself, strengths, weaknesses, quirks, and imperfections. It doesn't mean ignoring areas for improvement, but rather acknowledging them without shame or judgment. Psychologist Carl Rogers described self-acceptance beautifully. "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Only when you stop fighting against yourself can you begin to grow." 3.2. Overcoming fear and self-doubt. Fear and self-doubt are natural parts of the human experience, but they shouldn't dictate your life. Here's how to overcome them. Challenge negative thoughts. Whenever you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," counter it with evidence of your strengths and accomplishments. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. Remember, everyone makes mistakes. It's part of being human. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Focus on small wins along the way. Did you speak up in a meeting today? Celebrate that victory. 3.3. Loving yourself fully. Loving yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. When you cultivate self-love, you radiate confidence and attract positive energy into your life. Oprah Winfrey puts it perfectly. "Loving yourself is the greatest revolution." Here's a powerful exercise to boost self-love. Each night before bed, write down 3 things you appreciate about yourself. They can be big, like completing a project, or small, like smiling at a stranger. This practice shifts your mindset from criticism to gratitude. A true story, embracing imperfection. Let me share the story of Alex, a young entrepreneur who struggled with perfectionism. Alex was obsessed with creating flawless presentations for his clients. He'd spend hours tweaking every detail, terrified of making a mistake. Despite his efforts, he rarely felt satisfied with the results. His relentless pursuit of perfection left him exhausted and disconnected from his passion for innovation. One day, a mentor challenged Alex to present an idea without obsessing over its polish. Reluctantly, Alex agreed. To his surprise, the client loved the raw, unfiltered concept and praised its authenticity. That moment changed everything for Alex. He realized that imperfection didn't diminish his value, it enhanced it. Today, Alex embraces his flaws and encourages his team to do the same. He says, "Authenticity isn't about being perfect, it's about being real." Chapter 3. Building confidence without external validation. Confidence is the cornerstone of living authentically. But what happens when your confidence depends on external validation, likes, compliments, or approval from others? It becomes fragile and fleeting. In this chapter, we'll explore how to build unshakable confidence that comes from within. By learning to stop comparing yourself to others, setting meaningful goals based on your values, and practicing self-acknowledgement, you'll discover a deeper, more resilient sense of self-worth. 1. Stopping the comparison trap. One of the biggest obstacles to building confidence is comparison. Whether it's comparing your career to a colleague's success, your appearance to influencers on social media, or your lifestyle to friends' curated posts, comparison steals joy and erodes self-esteem. Let's break free from this destructive habit. 1.1. Why we compare. Comparison is a natural human tendency. Evolutionarily, it helped us assess our standing in the group and ensure survival. However, in today's hyper-connected world, constant exposure to others' lives amplifies this behavior. Social media platforms are designed to trigger comparison. They show us only the highlights of people's lives while hiding their struggles. As motivational speaker Iyanla Vanzant reminds us, Comparison is an act of violence against the self. When you measure your worth against others, you diminish your unique qualities and potential. 1.2. Shifting your perspective. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own progress. Here's how. Celebrate your journey. Every person has a different path. What matters isn't where you stand relative to others but how far you've come from where you started. Limit social media use. Curate your feed to include accounts that inspire and uplift you rather than those that make you feel inadequate. Consider taking regular breaks from social media to reconnect with your inner world. Practice gratitude. Shift your attention from what you lack to what you have. Each morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for about yourself or your life. 13. Embracing your uniqueness. Your individuality is your superpower. No one else has your combination of talents, experiences, and perspectives. As author Dr. Seuss famously wrote, "Today you are you, that is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you." Celebrate what makes you special, and let go of the need to fit into someone else's mold. 2. Setting goals based on your values. When your goals align with your core values, they become a source of intrinsic motivation and lasting satisfaction. Let's explore how to set meaningful, value-driven goals. 2.1. Aligning goals with values. Think back to the core values you identified in Chapter 2. Now ask yourself, what actions can I take to honor these values? For example, if creativity is one of your core values, a goal might be to dedicate time each week to painting, writing, or another creative pursuit. By basing your goals on your values, you ensure they resonate deeply with who you are. This alignment reduces the temptation to seek external validation because the reward comes from staying true to yourself. 2.2. Breaking down big goals into small steps. Big dreams can feel overwhelming, but breaking them into smaller, manageable steps makes them achievable. For instance, if your goal is to start a side business, begin by researching ideas, then create a simple plan, and finally take action step by step. Remember, progress, not perfection, is the key. Celebrate each milestone along the way, no matter how small. 2.3. Overcoming fear of failure. Fear of failure often holds us back from pursuing our goals. But here's the truth. Failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of the process. Author J.K. Rowling, who faced numerous rejections before publishing Harry Potter, once said, "It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all." To overcome fear, reframe failure as feedback. Instead of seeing setbacks as proof of inadequacy, view them as opportunities to learn and grow. 3. Practicing self-acknowledgement. Building confidence requires consistent self-acknowledgement. Unfortunately, many of us wait for others to validate our efforts instead of recognizing our achievements ourselves. Let's change that. 3.1. The power of self-acknowledgement. Acknowledging your accomplishments boosts self-esteem and reinforces positive behaviors. Research shows that people who regularly celebrate their wins, even small ones, are more likely to stay motivated and resilient. 3.2. Daily practices for self-acknowledgement. Here are some ways to practice self-acknowledgement. End-of-day reflection. Before bed, reflect on what you accomplished during the day. Did you finish a task? Show kindness to someone? Take care of your health? Acknowledge these moments, no matter how minor they seem. Affirmations. Use positive affirmations to remind yourself of your strengths. For example, say, "I am capable," or "I trust myself to handle challenges." Repeat these statements daily to reinforce belief in your abilities. Reward yourself, treat yourself when you reach milestones. Whether it's enjoying a favorite meal, taking a relaxing bath, or buying something you've been wanting, rewards reinforce the habit of acknowledging your efforts. 3.3. Overcoming guilt around self-care. Many people struggle with prioritizing themselves because they feel guilty for putting themselves first. But self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Brené Brown emphasizes this point. Talk to yourself like you would talk to someone you love. Treat yourself with the same compassion and care you'd extend to a dear friend. A true story, from doubt to confidence. Let me share the inspiring story of Maya, a young teacher who transformed her life by building confidence from within. Maya always dreamed of becoming a writer, but she doubted her abilities. She spent years comparing herself to best-selling authors and felt paralyzed by fear of rejection. Her turning point came when she decided to write just for herself, not for publication or acclaim. Every evening, after grading papers, Maya would sit at her desk and write freely, without worrying about grammar or structure. Over time, she noticed her confidence growing. Encouraged by her progress, she joined a local writing group, where members praised her storytelling skills. Eventually, Maya submitted one of her stories to a literary magazine, and it was accepted. While external recognition felt rewarding, Maya realized that her true confidence stemmed from trusting her voice and honoring her passion. Today, she continues to write, reminding herself daily, "My worth isn't determined by others' opinions." Chapter 4: Setting Healthy Boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines we draw to protect our time, energy, and emotional well-being. Without them, we risk being overwhelmed by others' demands, losing sight of our own needs, and feeling resentful or drained. In this chapter, we'll explore why boundaries are essential, how to recognize when they're needed, and practical strategies for setting them effectively. By learning to say no with grace and maintaining your limits, you'll create space to live authentically and prioritize what truly matters. 1. Recognizing when you need boundaries. The first step in setting healthy boundaries is identifying situations where they're necessary. Often, we ignore red flags until we're emotionally exhausted or physically unwell. Let's uncover the signs that indicate it's time to establish boundaries. 1.1. Feeling drained or resentful. If you find yourself constantly tired, irritable, or frustrated after interacting with certain people or engaging in specific activities, it's a clear signal that your boundaries are being crossed. For example, agreeing to help a colleague with their project every weekend might leave you too exhausted to focus on your own goals. As psychologist Henry Cloud explains, boundaries define us. They define what is me and what is not me. When you don't set boundaries, you allow others to dictate your life, leading to burnout and dissatisfaction. 1.2. Being taken advantage of. Do people frequently impose on your time or expect you to drop everything for them? If so, it's likely because you haven't communicated your limits clearly. Whether it's a friend who always calls late at night or a family member who guilt-trips you into doing favors, these patterns can erode your sense of self-worth. 1.3. Struggling to say no. If saying yes feels automatic, even when you want to say no, it's a sign that you need stronger boundaries. People-pleasing often stems from fear of rejection or conflict, but it comes at a cost, sacrificing your own needs and desires. 2. Learning to say no gracefully. Saying no doesn't have to be confrontational or hurtful. With practice, you can communicate your boundaries in a way that respects both yourself and others. 2.1. Preparing your response. Before declining a request, take a moment to reflect on your reasons. Are you saying no because it aligns with your values? Is it because you need to prioritize your well-being? Clarifying your intention will make your response more authentic. For instance, if a coworker asks you to take on an extra assignment but you're already overwhelmed, you might say, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I need to focus on my current workload right now." This approach is polite yet firm. 2.2. Using I statements. I statements shift the focus from blaming others to expressing your feelings and needs. Instead of saying, "You always ask too much of me," try, "I feel stretched thin when I take on additional tasks, so I need to decline this one." This technique reduces defensiveness and fosters understanding. As communication expert Marshall Rosenberg notes, when we express our needs clearly, others are more likely to respond with empathy. 2.3. Offering alternatives when appropriate. Sometimes, offering an alternative can soften the impact of saying no. For example, if a friend invites you to dinner but you're unavailable, you could suggest meeting next week instead. However, remember that you're not obligated to provide alternatives. Your no is valid on its own. 3. maintaining boundaries long-term. Setting boundaries is just the beginning. Enforcing them consistently is equally important. Here's how to maintain your limits without feeling guilty or wavering under pressure. 3.1. Dealing with pushback. Not everyone will respect your boundaries immediately, and that's okay. Some people may test your resolve or try to persuade you to change your mind. Stay calm and reiterate your stance firmly but kindly. For example, if someone insists, "Are you sure you can help me?" Respond with, "I understand your situation, but I've made a commitment to prioritize my own responsibilities right now." 3.2. Handling guilt and doubt. It's normal to feel guilty when setting boundaries, especially if you're used to putting others first. Remind yourself that prioritizing your well-being isn't selfish, it's essential. Author Glennon Doyle puts it beautifully. We can do hard things, and sometimes doing hard things means disappointing people. To combat doubt, revisit your core values. Are your boundaries helping you live authentically? If the answer is yes, trust that you're making the right choice. 3.3. Reassessing and adjusting boundaries. Boundaries aren't set in stone, they evolve as your circumstances and relationships change. Periodically review your limits to ensure they still serve you. For example, you might initially decide to limit social media use to 2 hours per day, but later realize you need stricter guidelines to protect your mental health. A true story, finding strength through boundaries. Let me share the story of Rachel, a caregiver who learned the importance of boundaries the hard way. Rachel devoted years to caring for her aging parents while juggling a full-time job and raising 2 young children. Over time, she became increasingly fatigued and emotionally depleted. Despite her best efforts, she couldn't keep up with everyone's expectations, including her own. One day, Rachel hit a breaking point. She realized that by neglecting her own needs, she was harming not only herself but also those she loved. Determined to change, she began setting boundaries. She hired a part-time caregiver to assist her parents, allowing her to rest and recharge. She scheduled weekly me time to pursue hobbies like painting and yoga. She politely declined non-essential commitments, such as attending every neighborhood event. At first, some family members resisted her changes, accusing her of being selfish. But Rachel stood firm, explaining that taking care of herself enabled her to be a better caregiver and parent. Over time, her loved ones came to appreciate her renewed energy and positivity. Today, Rachel emphasizes the importance of boundaries in all areas of her life. She says, "Setting limits isn't about shutting people out. It's about creating space to show up fully for the people and things that matter most." Conclusion of Chapter 4. In this chapter, we've explored the critical role of boundaries in protecting your energy and maintaining authenticity. By recognizing when boundaries are needed, learning to say no gracefully, and enforcing your limits consistently, you'll reclaim control over your life and nurture healthier relationships. As author Anne Lamott reminds us, no is a complete sentence. Trust in your ability to set and maintain boundaries. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. Chapter 5. Living Authentically and Finding Inner Peace. Living authentically is the ultimate act of self-love. It means embracing who you truly are, pursuing what sets your soul on fire, and letting go of the need for external validation. But authenticity isn't just about self-expression, it's also about cultivating inner peace. In this chapter, we'll explore how to align your life with your passions, nurture meaningful relationships, and find serenity within yourself. By the end of this journey, you'll be equipped with tools to live a life that feels fulfilling, balanced, and deeply connected to your true self. 1. Pursuing your passions and personal interests. Passion is the fuel that drives authenticity. When you dedicate time to activities that ignite joy and purpose, you naturally become more aligned with your authentic self. Let's delve into how to identify and nurture your passions. 1.1. Rediscovering what excites you. Over time, many of us lose touch with our passions due to societal pressures or overwhelming responsibilities. Reconnecting requires curiosity and experimentation. Ask yourself, what did I love doing as a child? What hobbies make me lose track of time? For example, if you loved drawing as a kid but stopped because it wasn't practical, consider picking up a sketchbook again. Even small steps toward reigniting old interests can awaken dormant parts of yourself. As author Paulo Coelho beautifully said, "Don't forget, you must always follow your heart. Trust that your heart knows what brings you alive." 1.2. Making time for passion projects. In a busy world, carving out time for your passions can feel challenging, but it's essential. Start by scheduling regular me time in your calendar. Treat these sessions as non-negotiable appointments with yourself. If finding large blocks of time seems impossible, break it down into smaller increments. For instance, spend 15 minutes journaling each morning or practicing guitar during your lunch break. Over time, these moments add up, creating a sense of fulfillment. 13. Embracing imperfection in creative pursuits. Many people hesitate to pursue their passions because they fear failure or judgment. Remember, perfection isn't the goal, growth and enjoyment are. Whether you're painting, writing, cooking, or gardening, focus on the process rather than the outcome. As artist Vincent van Gogh once remarked, "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." Every stroke of paint, every written word, and every planted seed contributes to your journey of self-discovery. 2. Cultivating meaningful relationships. Relationships play a vital role in living authentically. Surrounding yourself with supportive, like-minded individuals enhances your well-being and reinforces your commitment to being true to yourself. 2.1. Identifying toxic relationships. Not all relationships are healthy. Some drain your energy, undermine your confidence, or pressure you to conform. Signs of toxicity include constant criticism, manipulation, or one-sided dynamics where you give far more than you receive. As psychologist Dr. Susan Forward explains, toxic relationships prevent us from growing into our best selves. If someone consistently disrespects your boundaries or belittles your dreams, it may be time to distance yourself. 2.2. Building connections that uplift you. On the flip side, nurturing positive relationships fosters a sense of belonging and encouragement. Seek out people who celebrate your uniqueness, challenge you to grow, and share similar values. For example, joining communities centered around your interests, such as book clubs, fitness groups, or creative workshops, can introduce you to inspiring individuals who resonate with your authentic self. 2.3. Being vulnerable with trusted friends. Authenticity thrives in environments where vulnerability is welcomed. Share your thoughts, fears, and aspirations with trusted friends or family members. Opening up strengthens bonds and reminds you that you're not alone on this journey. Brené Brown emphasizes this point. Vulnerability is the birthplace of connection. When you allow yourself to be seen, you create space for deeper, more meaningful interactions. 3. Finding inner peace through mindfulness and gratitude. Inner peace doesn't come from external achievements, it arises from within. Practices like mindfulness and gratitude help quiet the noise of daily life and connect you to a state of calm and contentment. 3.1. Practicing mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation involves focusing on the present moment without judgment. This practice helps reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, and enhance self-awareness. To start, set aside 5 minutes each day to sit quietly and observe your breath. Notice thoughts as they arise, then gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Over time, extend these sessions to 10 or 15 minutes. Research shows that mindfulness rewires the brain, promoting resilience and happiness. As Thich Nhat Hanh wisely stated, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." 3.2. Practicing daily gratitude. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can range from significant events, like landing a promotion, to simple pleasures, like sipping your favorite coffee. This habit trains your mind to notice the good in your life, even during challenging times. Studies show that gratitude boosts mood, strengthens relationships, and increases overall satisfaction. 3.3. Connecting with nature. Spending time outdoors has profound benefits for mental health. Whether it's walking in a park, hiking in the mountains, or simply sitting under a tree, nature grounds you and restores balance. John Muir captured this sentiment perfectly. In every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. Allow nature to remind you of life's beauty and simplicity, helping you reconnect with your inner peace. A true story, from chaos to serenity. Let me share the story of Daniel, a corporate executive who transformed his life by embracing authenticity and finding inner peace. Daniel spent years climbing the corporate ladder, sacrificing weekends, vacations, and personal time to achieve success. Yet despite his accomplishments, he felt restless and unfulfilled. One day, after experiencing burnout, he decided to take a sabbatical to reflect on his life. During this period, Daniel rediscovered his passion for photography, a hobby he'd abandoned in college. He began exploring local landscapes, capturing sunsets and wildlife through his lens. Photography became a form of meditation, allowing him to slow down and appreciate the beauty around him. Simultaneously, Daniel reevaluated his relationships. He distanced himself from colleagues who drained his energy and sought out new friendships with fellow photographers and outdoor enthusiasts. These connections enriched his life and supported his journey toward authenticity. Today, Daniel balances his career with his creative pursuits, prioritizing mindfulness and gratitude daily. He says, "Living authentically isn't about rejecting ambition, it's about aligning your actions with your true self. Now I wake up excited for each day, knowing I'm living my truth." Audiobook conclusion: Your journey to wisdom and authentic living. As we come to the end of this audiobook, let's take a moment to reflect on the transformative lessons we've explored together. Chapter 1. We uncovered the roots of our need for external validation and how it impacts our lives. Understanding these origins helped us recognize the importance of breaking free from societal expectations. Chapter 2. By identifying our core values, listening to our inner voice, and practicing unconditional self-acceptance, we discovered who we truly are beneath the layers of fear and insecurity. Chapter 3. Building confidence without relying on external validation empowered us to stop comparing ourselves to others, set meaningful goals, and celebrate our progress along the way. Chapter 4. Setting healthy boundaries taught us how to protect our energy, prioritize our needs, and communicate our limits with grace and assertiveness. Chapter 5. Finally, we embraced authenticity by pursuing our passions, nurturing meaningful relationships, and cultivating inner peace through mindfulness and gratitude. Each chapter has been a stepping stone toward reclaiming your freedom and living a life that aligns with your true self. Now is the time to put these insights into action. Change doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent effort and patience. Start small. Identify one area where you'd like to grow and commit to making a shift today. For example, if you struggle with comparison, spend 5 minutes journaling about your unique strengths. If setting boundaries feels challenging, practice saying no to one request this week. If you want to reconnect with your passions, dedicate 15 minutes to an activity that brings you joy. Remember, every step you take brings you closer to the authentic, peaceful life you deserve. As Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Build habits that honor your truth, and watch as your world transforms. Thank you for taking the time to listen to Live for Yourself. Stop seeking validation from others. It has been an honor to guide you on this journey of self-discovery and growth. Your willingness to invest in yourself is a testament to your strength and courage. If you found this audiobook valuable, I encourage you to share it with others who might benefit from its message. Together, we can inspire more people to live authentically and confidently. And if you haven't already, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the Wisdom Audiobooks channel. Your support means the world to me and helps us continue creating content that empowers and uplifts. You hold the power to shape your destiny. No matter where you are on your journey, know that you are capable, worthy, and enough just as you are. Trust in your ability to navigate challenges, embrace opportunities, and create a life filled with purpose and joy. As Maya Angelou so eloquently reminded us, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, It may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. Your wisdom journey starts here, and it continues with every choice you make to live for yourself.